What's up, everyone? So we have to put a spotlight under this fellow man here. Birthday royalty. Joe is on his weekend celebration. Today is officially his birthday, and we will all be celebrating this weekend. If you're in the Sacramento area, come to Evie's Republic. But Joe, happy birthday, man.
Yes. It's so true. I am birth. Yes.
Happy big one, man. It's a golden one for sure, man.
Yeah, thank you guys, man. 55 is I shouldn't be here by all accounts. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Well, with that said, happy birthday, man. Thank you for all you do, especially the deck each week and all you do for the Tesla community up in Central and Northern California. We appreciate it, man. How's everyone else doing? Hans and Brian, how are you guys?
I'm doing good. I'm almost adjusted back to my sleep schedule from the very short China trip. I don't know why. It just wrecked me coming back. But I've got more footage to still post. A lot of fun, a lot of exciting stuff going on. It's always good to see what's going on in the second most exciting bunch of companies. You know, to me, it's Tesla's doing a lot of amazing things, and a lot of Chinese companies are nipping at their heels, which I think is good for competition, good for innovation, and it's going to keep going. How about you, Hans?
Hans, how are you?
Yeah, I'm excited to be here with you guys this morning. It was a fun week and lots to talk about today. And yeah, just trying to keep up these days is never dull.
Yeah, exactly. Thankfully, this podcast is on Fridays. That always helps with a lot of the news has more historically been dropping on Thursday nights. But yeah, well, we'll get into it. Shout out to Insta360 for making some amazing cameras. We'll actually be having a walkthrough over at Joe's event today with an X5. But make sure you check the link. I would say check it on X, but X is down right now. So, but with that said, let's get into it. So, Tesla Beat podcast. It's a bear market. Just joking. But yeah, so over the past week, it's pretty much been flat since last week, down about $5 and down about 0.5% year to date. And all right, well, I think probably maybe the biggest story of the week was the Tesla has a Valentine's date. And of course, you know, Elon always picks the best dates. But it looks like Tesla will stop selling FSD after February 14th. FSD will only be available as a monthly subscription thereafter. I know 60 million views and counting, but who wants to take this and what this means and what are your thoughts on this?
This is upsetting.
I'll go last. Yeah, I'll go last because I want to hear what you guys have to say.
I am furious for no reason whatsoever. No, I think it's pretty awesome. I think when I saw this, I thought of the tranches that he has to meet. I was like, yeah, he's lining that up pretty well. He's not playing around with this. So I think it needs to be done. I've said this and people laughed at me, but eventually I think FSD would be free, like seatbelts used to cost, and now they're free. So I just think it's going to be one of those things where safety is. It's a premium now, but it's going to be a standard sooner or later. So,
but why now? Why end sales and switch to subscriptions now?
You said you were going last, sir.
That was just a question.
Go ahead, Hans.
Well, I think we may have spoken about this once or twice, but Tesla is kind of leaving the traditional auto business model behind, and they're moving to a business model that's based on transportation as a service, at least as it relates to the cars. You know, there's other parts of Tesla's business as well. They've got energy, they're working on Optimus, and those are also going to be interesting. Probably both moving toward, energy as a service and then labor as a service business models as well. And so this is a big move in that direction that, hey, you're not going to be able to just buy something and have unlimited access for free forever once you pay that one-time upfront fee. And that I think that's also going to probably extend to the vehicles themselves over time, that you won't even be able to purchase the vehicles. But right now we're just starting with the software, and it's a huge signal that we are moving, like all of the leading indicators that we're about to just undergo a massive phase change in how the business, how the financials operate for Tesla, that we are right around the corner from all of those things really taking place in the public eye, and all of the, they're laying the groundwork, and we're getting closer and closer. I think April is going to be potentially a monumental month for Tesla. If we really do start production of Cybercab in that month, this is a move at this point in time that makes a whole lot of sense. That, you know what, we're about to show you that, yes, absolutely, we can operate vehicles on the road with no steering wheel and pedals that are completely autonomous. There's no, safety monitor, safety driver in the car. And once you see that, then you're gonna be like, oh crap, I actually kind of want that on my car. And we don't want you to be able to buy something for $8,000 that we think is worth way more than $8,000 over the course of time. We want you to pay us a little bit of that recurring revenue instead.
It's definitely true that Wall Street loves the recurring revenue. They know something we don't about it. And the reality is there are people who will keep subscriptions even when they shouldn't. I've got a subscription to the car wash, and I should really suspend it or discontinue it now. But I am still washing the car once or twice a week. So, I mean, I guess it's pointless, but I'm still doing it. And I didn't realize, but when I go on some of these longer trips, I could have just paused my subscription. Why didn't I? So this is good revenue in that way. In terms of Elon hitting the tranches, he has to have a cajillion cars on the subscription. I believe ones sold count towards that figure. It would be crazy if they didn't. But in terms of that, you can get to that number easier. 1 million, 3 million, 100 million cars with it, the cheaper it is. In China, the average price for an ADAS from every manufacturer is $0. If you have the hardware, you have the software. At some point, Chinese cars will get to the US, even if they have to build their own data servers, get their inference done on this side of the pond. They'll find a way to do it, and that will put real pricing pressure. But until that happens, and that's 3 to 5 years out, Tesla will be kind of the only game in town for consumer FSD. I know Lucid's very proud of theirs. I know Rivian is very proud of theirs. They're just not comparable. In terms of, I heard one theory that, well, it's going to be they have to do it by the 14th because of California's order to change their marketing for compliance reasons. That's not why. That doesn't make any sense. If it's something you're selling on a monthly basis versus selling outright, the marketing still has to be compliant. And if they wanted to change it for just California, they'd change it for just California. California's often had rules that only apply in California for automotive incentives or even vehicle availability entirely. So that doesn't make any sense. And yeah, I think, but why now? That's the part I really don't know. And I am seeing a lot of people outraged, but like Joe, I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, real quick, Brian, let me ask you this. So when you're looking at this, and you're like Hans was saying, like there's going to be a time when you're not even going to be able to buy vehicles. So what do you think do you think, because I know I've seen a lot of comments about the supervised versus unsupervised having different pricing structures. Do you think like this will go down, or you think it'll stay where it is, or what? I guess that's a great question for everybody.
Yeah. Well, so my answer would be, I think if this was a product they were rolling out today for the first time and we'd never heard of it, that there would be 2 pricing tiers, supervised and unsupervised. Because for unsupervised, I feel like there might need to be someone somewhere watching it. And that has a different cost, certainly a different amount of liabilities involved. And that might be why they're ending the sale of it. Because if it's leased, they can change the terms on you every month. They can set different pricing structures after the fact. But if you bought it completely outright, those people who paid in full prior to this coming February, but especially people who bought 2-3 years ago and before, they were just plain promised a car that drives itself. And that may incur some legacy costs with where they're chewing into the 6,000 or 8 or 12,000 that some buyers paid for it to provide that level of supervision. And I think that's why they would want to move away from it. I mean, the other reason is whatever level it's at today, if it's a monthly fee, you count all the revenue. If it's a purchase, you count most of the revenue and you defer the rest until it's done. But what is done? Is that going to result in a lawsuit when someone says it's not done to the standard I expected? With subscriptions, you can get around that.
I mean, in my opinion, at maturity, you have to have you just kind of think in the limit here for a second and go to the point where the software, we don't actually have to have supervision. So really the only cost is the development cost of the software. And then to Brian's point, the liability. At that point in time, you need to have a version of that software that is matched to all of the different use cases that people have. And then there needs to be customized pricing based on the consumer that is actually using that service. And so I expect that, the pricing on this will become increasingly sophisticated over time. Tesla will capture a lot of the value out of that. But they'll do that by providing a better, faster, cheaper alternative to their customers who are also going to win at the same time. And so, if you have a fleet at scale of robotaxis, like that is going to be a big moat that will be difficult for players like Chinese automakers or whoever else wants to pour a bunch of money into this. We learned from the ride-hailing wars between Uber and Waymo that if you can get out in front and you can actually have your network operating at scale before the other ones, then the other ones have to spend a lot of money just trying to even get started in your market. And that gives you this competitive advantage. And as a completely vertically integrated company, Tesla's making the vehicles, they're making the software, and that because of that, then anyone else who's going to try, like if it's Waymo, if it's Chinese players, I expect NVIDIA and Google both to be heavily incentivized to try and subsidize, big cash burn in this area, because they will want to have their own, hardware that's being used in these areas. And the application of, self-driving is incredible use case for AI that helps to feed back into the development of all their other things. So those are going to be the competitive pressures that come against Tesla. But all of those people are just going to have to literally light probably trillions of dollars of cash on fire just to try and put pressure on Tesla.
I would mostly agree. China's a bit of a different case. Many of those companies are extremely vertically integrated. BYD pretty much only buys tires and glass, wheels, glass, and that's about it. They design their chips, but they don't make them. They make their own batteries. They really are vertically integrated to a degree that makes suppliers angry with them because, come on, man, you're making all these cars and you're not buying anything from us. But that also explains why their headcount is literally 10 times that of Tesla, despite making barely more cars and less revenue. So I think Waymo and the people who are not making the cars have the biggest disadvantage because they're trying to someone's got to make the cars, someone's got to make the software, and then you've got NVIDIA on top trying to make, everybody wants their cut. Now Uber wants a cut too. Too many fingers in the pie. Do not eat pie that's been thusly handled, is what I'm saying.
Well, and just real quick, one point for people who are thinking about this to remember is that in this future world, it's going to be cost of delivered miles to the customer, which is going to be based on, that's going to be the floor, the cost basis that these companies are going to then be able to have to figure out, okay, what profitability can I get? I can sell miles at this price, and then how much does it cost me to deliver a mile? And Tesla's spent an inordinate amount of time trying to figure out how to get that cyber cab down to the lowest cost per mile of delivered transportation of anyone out there by far. And that's, there's so many engineering accommodations that have been made, manufacturing accommodations that have been made to do that. And so I think, while I completely agree with you, Brian, on someone like BYD or Xiaomi, like these people's ability to deliver a solution, the question is, will they be able to, when they're coming from a disadvantage of they're short millions of cars relative to Tesla from a timing perspective, and then are they going to be as efficient as Tesla from a cost perspective in delivering those transportation miles? Like, it's still going to be a huge uphill battle for them, which is why, like, I still think it'll take, trillions of dollars worth of extra money that they have to spend just to try and get to the same place that Tesla is, where they're not going to be able to expect any profits.
But they don't expect profits is one of the big advantages that these companies have. Investors like us get annoyed when Tesla's margins get too compressed. I don't, but I know a lot of people do. A lot of people on my channel, in the comments on social media, and nobody is currently building anything like the Cybercab that we're aware of. That's ultra low cost, not just in terms of the manufacturing. There are a lot of companies in China that make cars even cheaper than a Cybercab, but the operational cost, as you indicated, is higher. They are not designed for ease of clean, ease of charge, ease of everything, ease of repair. They're not designed that way.
And then
Those
efficiency of the powertrain and aerodynamics, like all of those extra things.
All of those things. When you start from square one to make a Cybercab, you make a Cybercab. That isn't to say they couldn't get there, but China's move into countries outside of Southeast Asia is going to face not just logistical challenges, but political headwinds as well.
So what you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, so all Waymo has to do is
It's easy, Joe. It's easy. All they have to do is design a completely different car, get lower margins, and make it work actually super easy. And then they got it. And then they can roll out at 4 times the price.
There it is.
The semi-serious and sarcastic responses, all that they have to do in reality is invent god-tier artificial superintelligence and then have that solve the problem for them. Which Google, it is Google. They are in one of the pole positions on having world-leading AI superintelligence.
Okay, so that sentence you just said, and looking at a Waymo car versus any Tesla that's self-driving,
it would have to scrap everything they've done at Waymo.
It would have to change directions completely. I just appreciate Waymo's design because it's so seamless. You can never tell if it's a RoboCab or not.
That could be any car. That could be any car on the road.
Any car. I think it's kind of crazy. I've been following the Tesla scene very closely for 8 years. I'm not gonna pretend to be like one of the OGs, like from 2012, 2013. But I really feel like this is just there's a lot of moments that are coming for Tesla, and it was crazy to even hear like Jason from the All In podcast say something that is really, again, this is all stuff that makes sense and stuff that they've been preaching about, where it's like, maybe in 10 years from now, no one's even going to remember that Tesla was a car company. And it's similar to Amazon, right? If you're new to the Amazon story, if you probably talk to people that are just looking for jobs, they just graduated, they may not even know that Tesla was a bookstore at one point, an online bookstore.
Amazon.
Exactly.
You said Tesla was an online bookstore.
Sorry.
They're going to flame you in the comments, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I'm just going off the cost here. But yeah, so it's very much Amazon being a bookstore. So most people applying to Amazon nowadays, especially if they're just graduating, they have no idea. But I think that this is very clear indications. Like we know in April timeframe that the Cybercab will come. FSD supervised, we have people like David Moss who have driven clear across the country. on version 14, and I think, maybe even Josh and Bearded Tesla may be doing something soon again. But there's just, and we're seeing it, and we all drive in that. We see, that it's still, there's very there, when you think of all of the things that it does wrong, it's really, you can count them on your fingers. But then all of the things that it does right, you need like 100x the amount of fingers to just count it. But either way, we've come so far, and I really feel like, this is not just Elon, trying to force something. I mean, he's done some of that stuff in the past where, he's gotten a little ahead of himself, but this makes sense. I mean, he's also, for his big pay package, I think he has to hit 10 million Tesla FSD subscriptions or something insane like that. But all that to say is that, yeah, this is the indication that, they're getting very close. They already have, the unsupervised version in the Cybercab. And again, when you think of scale, right, Tesla has all of these sales and service centers across the United States. And so if they need to throw a Cybercab for testing, they can pretty much do it in every major city across the United States. And so, in my opinion, I don't think that the Cybercab is going to be limited for mass production. It's going to be more of what makes sense to produce versus like how much can they put out, right? And so I think, yeah, we're at this inflection point, clearly for Elon to literally make this, February 14th. I think, everyone has a decision. I think it's just more of like, do you think V4 is where it needs to be, or hardware 4 or hardware 5 or 6 or whatever is coming out? Do you want to wait? But like for me, it's the subscription has always made the most sense. I have one car right now with free FSD for life, and I've transferred it or whatever with my Model X. But I don't, I think it just makes more sense. It's easier to consume right now to just eat the monthly subscription. Partially because, like, I don't know if I'm going to have my Cybertruck for 7 years plus, right? Who knows? At some point, I may get a different Tesla if there's something else. But I feel like this is just more of like, we know what's coming this year, the Cybercab, which is going to have, as you guys said, the lowest cost per mile by not just a little bit, by a lot. And there's no one, as we've all talked about, there's no clear even second of company who is doing the full stack. But even the companies that are doing one aspect, they have to combine. Like if you look at the Toro, or not the Uber collaboration, it's Lucid, Uber, and then Nero. Yeah, it's like 3 companies literally to do one thing. and who knows how long it will ever take them to become profitable. I mean, you're talking $120,000 car or something like that, plus a bunch of additive stuff, and then you have to feed 3 different companies. So yeah, I think if the light hasn't turned on, I mean, and you're seeing it I think there's a lot of posts, right? I think I saw Sawyer post something the other day about how this one analyst had been sleeping on Tesla, and he's finally like, nope, not doing that no more. So I think that we're kind of, Tesla's sending the signal that like, hey, we're turning this leaf of like really in doing autonomy. And at some point they're going to do robotics as far as like, mass producing these robots. But at least we're turning that new chapter, if not that new book, of just autonomy. And then there's going to be another new book when the robots hit, production itself. So it's an exciting time. And I think, now it's not going to be about the cars produced. It's going to be about the cities unlocked. How many rides are they doing? The cost per mile on
miles delivered.
Exactly.
You said something there, John, that actually you said 2 things that I hadn't even thought about. The first was all those 3 companies having to be profitable. I didn't even you see they put everybody's name across that vehicle, and it's like, oh, okay, they're starting a robo taxi adventure. But man, I didn't even think about everybody's got to be paid out before they even could make money on that thing. The other thing you mentioned was a Cybercab at every service or Tesla showroom, giving out rides. Dude, that would be freaking gangbusters, man. Just having it out there, just people putting in addresses, or even if it had a set route or whatever, so people could go and come back. Dude, that'd be insane. All the showrooms across the country.
What you're going to have, I mean, they're already getting into the rental business and Hertz and other stuff, right? They're launching those in multiple cities. But now imagine you have, not only are you renting something, but you're pretty much renting a robotaxi for a couple of days. So that may drive the cost up per day, but obviously they're going to want to keep it low for, mass. But yeah, it's just like when you think of the scale of this, it's like, I'm making this up. You think of like a Waymo and them launching, they have to go and find these locations to house them. Tesla at least can allocate a section of every single sales and service center in these major areas, and they have multiple locations that are probably going to be located a little bit outside the city, and then you can just have them, run in every single morning and go and charge at night, right? And have them obviously cleaned out, right? So it's just there's just like, and again, what's going to be interesting is maybe over time Tesla is going to have less sales and service centers if they're not producing an insane amount of privately owned cars. But either those service centers are going to turn into, literally like parking lots and hubs for these robotaxis, or you're going to start seeing more, Tesla parking lots that just have these cyber cabs that are literally just charging stations and cleaning stations.
So I'm going to go a different direction on that, and I'm going to say that what Waymo's been doing is thinking about it the old way. Everything they do is, let's take a car but make it driverless. And what Tesla's doing is saying, no, stop and back up and look at it completely differently. We're going to have a tiny little charging station. It's going to do it. It's going to have maybe 8 stalls worth of drive over pads. While it's charging, they can get cleaned. Doesn't matter if they do. Maybe make that separate. Doesn't matter. And then where are we going to park them? Everywhere. Not here, not in our overflow lot. We're going to park at a block from your house. And even we know that there's no fares between now and 6 a.m., but at 6 a.m., you're going to have a fare. And when you come outside, it's going to be 1 block away. And that's legal street parking. That's not interfering with anyone. That's just well, what if someone breaks into it? The car can see that. It'll drive away. If there's a break-in hotspot area where someone's trying to vandalize the cars every night, it'll leave. So everything that the old guard is doing is thinking about it in the old way. They're doing the faster horses. Faster horses ain't going to get you there. This is a whole new thing, and it doesn't need a big, giant hub to handle it. And if it did, Tesla already knows where to rent overflow lots for cheap when it's a delivery wave. So they're doing it better.
Yeah, I want to build on that too by going back to one of the points that you made, John, about, Tesla is really moving into this robotics phase of the company. And this is one of the things. So on top of all the logistics things that we're just talking about now, no one has the complete picture of that, plus then the vehicle manufacturing, plus then the AI expertise in-house, plus then the data centers in-house to actually do their own training. Like Cortex-1 was already like a top 5 cluster when it was built, and Cortex-2 is also going to be a top 5 cluster when it's built. Like, this isn't, like they're going head to head with the OpenAIs, the Microsofts, the Googles, the Amazons in the actual AI resources that their team has access to build frontier real world AI. Like when Elon says that Tesla is the best real world AI company in the world and you can't even see second place with a telescope, he's not lying. No one else has the resources at their disposal that Tesla has. And then to have that inside of the company, oh yeah, that also makes the cars. Oh yeah, that also runs this, national and global logistics network, that also has this incredible engineering team for the vehicles, and on and on and on and on. And, vertically integrated down into the supply chain for batteries, and makes their own chips, like literally makes their own chips for the cars. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be like I said, everyone's who's been sleeping on Tesla has no idea. And then we'll get into this in a little bit, but them launching the lithium refinery and just again doing all of these things that they don't want to be doing, but they're doing because no one else is stepping up and they're taking it. And the what's it called? The volts are moving through, or the engine is pumping, is whatever you want to call this, right? And by the time these companies wake up, it's just, I mean, it's already been too late. It's like, I think it's kind of like one of those things where it's like you see it's kind of like putting a lipstick on a pig, right? You have 10 pigs, all of them have, you want to change up the costume, but at the end of the day, it's just all, they're all the same thing. But I think a lot of these companies are just putting on this facade that everything's okay and that they're moving forward. Oh, let's do hybrids, let's do, let's kill the production. And it's like none of them, I think even what's it called, Ford was like, oh, we're gonna do lidar. And it's just all of these companies, even Rivian. And so it's just like, I think some of these companies worse than others, they already know that they're kind of screwed. That, at least if not, I mean, they must not be awake, but it's just I don't know. But yeah, go for it, Brian.
I've had a chance to ask a number of companies, how are you going to catch up? You don't have as much data as Tesla. You don't have as much compute by a factor of at least 10. How are you going to catch up? And the answer I get every time is, well, we've got the best engineers in the world. Okay, everyone says that, guys. That having great engineers today has not been enough to overcome the compute gap. They've got inference like no one else in the physical AI space. And Tesla is still struggling to get those last couple of nines needed for it to be safe enough to just ignore it and not even think about it again. For you and I using ours at home as consumers, it works great. But sending it across town with no one in it, I don't know if I'm quite comfortable enough for that yet. Letting my children go to sleep while no one's in the driver's seat definitely wouldn't do that. But these other companies can't go more than a few miles without a critical disengagement. And they're of the opinion that, well, next year, though, we're going to be totally caught up. And I think it shows a real lack of self-reflection, a real dishonesty. And I don't know what they're actually going to do.
Well, and even the first statement that they made is, pretty straightforward, tells you exactly where they're at. Like, for any of these companies to say we have the best engineers in the world is basically like Boise State saying that we have the best D1 talent in all of college football. It's like, no, you don't. Like, you're not pulling in 1-star recruit or 5-star recruits into this program at anywhere close to the same volume that Tesla, SpaceX. Like, if you're not on the rankings of top places that engineering graduates want to go to work, I'm sorry, no, you don't have the best engineers in the world. It's just not, that's not how that works.
Yeah, you speak it into existence, Hans.
Yeah, I mean, there was even a post the other day. I think it was, Sir Robinson. He was just saying that there was a talent engineer role that was open at XAI, and it was part of the talent engineering team that reports directly into Elon. I mean, that's, I think, what is different is like, sure, you might get a great engineer, but if they're not being led by someone who can see the vision, who knows 2 or 3 steps ahead, it's not like it's the blind leading the blind, because there's some still great engineers, but they need someone who is as hardcore. Because, and also too, a lot of these engineers, once you throw them these fat salaries, depending on their motivation, they may not be as motivated. And it's just like I said, because that's what happens when you give someone who sure deserves it, but if they don't have something like Elon, I think they mentioned that there was some high turnovers over at XAI, but it's like there was only a few regrettable, is what he was saying. But at the end of the day, it makes complete sense. You're either gonna come and thrive and hang and be cooking literally, or it's just going to be you're gonna fall by the wayside, and they're gonna go find someone else that is gonna do your job and more, right? But yeah, I think as we've seen for years, it's just the hole has only gotten to the point where it's pretty much bottomless. I don't even think even if someone wanted to step in to catch up, there may not be a bottom to start from, if that makes sense, to like build up from it at this point, right?
Where are you going to get the data, the training data? You can't buy it at any price. You have to first equip hundreds of thousands of your own vehicles with it to gather the data. Once you have it, how are you going to process it? Do you have the compute? Do you have the engineers to make sense of it? Those are critical steps. And if you're not doing those, you're not in it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I even heard that partially why Rivian was doing the lidar, and this is from Josh Josh West, who attended the event, was their goal is like they know that they won't ever be able to catch up, and so for them, they feel like with the lidar it helps validate that a little bit faster. Again, I don't really understand that mindset, but it's like they already know that they're so far behind, and so they're trying to do things. But again, if Tesla already knew that lidar would help them get even further, they would be using it. But it's just one of those things where these companies, again, there's no bottom to start from for these guys.
You
All
know
right.
what all this reminds me of before you get to the next slide? This reminds me of a few years ago when everybody and their mother was saying, yeah, no, we see what Tesla's doing, but we plan to be right where they are by 2026. And here it is,
Yeah.
2026, and all the capitulation has happened and everybody's backed out. And, but yet they got all those investment dollars from all those people. They're not giving none of that back, and none of the headlines went away. You know what I mean? Like all that freaking slander and everything went against, oh, this is the Tesla killer and this is the Tesla killer, and oh, they're doing great things, but you know they're going to be gone in like a few years. And it's just like, and now you see that with like what you guys are talking about with inference, with compute, with all of this stuff. It's like they just keep letting Tesla like have these leads. Well, they're not letting Tesla do anything, but Tesla just keeps like getting so far out ahead that it's just unreachable. And at some point, like people just have to be realistic with themselves and realize, okay, we're not going to catch them. We need to just license what they're doing already and just go with that.
And even if I will say, because it has become a thing where it's like if people are like, oh, I don't want to associate with Tesla because it's a political thing. The thing is, there's only going to be one person to go shop from at some point, right? Especially when it comes to this. And again, Tesla's like, hey, we're going to open up all our patents on the Model 3 if you literally don't want to reinvent the wheel. And same thing with the FSD software. They're going to tell you exactly where on the car you need to put these cameras to start building a framework for, a system that can use their software. But you don't see anyone, or we have not heard publicly about anyone that has come to the table. And actually, for a long time, I thought Ford was going to be that first company, but they've doubled down and gone a completely different direction. So,
one of the options I haven't really heard anyone discuss that I don't know that it's a high likelihood, but I wouldn't be surprised by either, is for Jensen and NVIDIA to actually license the data and maybe even some of the architecture of FSD, and then to provide like a good third party kit for all these other OEMs, because Tesla's never going to want to deal with trying to do business with Ford and GM and all these snails. And it is something that I think that Jensen is interested in. And so it wouldn't be surprising for me to see something kind of develop in that arena over time.
Yeah, that's the cheat code.
pretty much. Just like this lithium refinery. Joe, I'll pass this one to you, man.
We finally got to the next slide. Yay. Tesla lithium refinery. Cleaner than anything you could eat off of the dirt. Okay, so Tesla built the most advanced lithium refinery in the world, and it's very clean. So it's now open. Elon says they are doing it, and also we get our lithium from Australia. Also, they're just buying everything they can from everywhere, just like they're buying all the chips from Jensen. They are just, and they're making their own. They're just not messing around. But this is pretty cool. This is happening right here in America. Elon called it out like years ago. Nobody did it, so they decided they had to do it, and here we are.
They also have a new method of doing it that's less energy intensive, involves a lot of recycling, so to speak. The natural gas furnace that is needed for the heat produces CO2. The CO2 is then captured and used later in the process. This is Tesla upcycling 101. They are able to do things that would otherwise cost money with their own feedback loop, as it were. So while this may not be the cheapest finished lithium in the world, it's a more stable supply. It's less prone to cost fluctuations, and they needed it. They were paying an awful lot for the cost of refining. They're going to save something like $10,000 a ton right off the top. not nothing.
And it definitely helps, localize supply chains and defend against all sorts of disruption, defend against over-reliance on China. And this is just version 1 of Tesla lithium refinery. And so, it wouldn't surprise me at all to see a version 2 and a version 3 over time that even press those advantages significantly further.
I obviously I don't know regulations in some of these other countries, but do you guys see potentially like as they close the loop for supply chain versus like having this refinery here in the United States, would you see a world where they would have a refinery on every major like continent, like in Europe, in China, and anywhere where they really have a factory?
Or at least nearby, like for Europe, you could totally have it in Africa, on the northern, shore, against the Mediterranean, somewhere like that. But yeah, definitely close by.
I agree with Hans on that, especially the finished refined lithium is not that bulky. So transporting it wouldn't be an issue. It comes down more to tariffs and politics. It can, it has been cost effective to get lithium from the other side of the world. But with the geopolitical uncertainty, it made more sense to onshore it. And yeah, so I could see them doing it. And I don't know if they would. I don't know what this facility cost, and what the break even time period is. So I guess that would be the other factor.
So, a question for you guys: why is the lithium refinery important for Tesla?
Well, it turns out batteries that are of the lithium ion variety use lithium. So it's one of the more critical components of a vehicle, the batteries. And so it's helpful to have that on hand. They announced this plan back when lithium prices were skyrocketing due to speculation, and those speculators lost their money. So that's good. But at the same time, it could happen again. Lithium supplies are not infinite, but the supply crunches subsided very well. So this is just a hedge. This is just something that, even if it's not cheaper, though it looks like it may be, it's still more secure.
Could this bring prices of the battery pack down and lower cost of the vehicles?
Could. There's not that much lithium in a car, but yes. And especially when it comes to, we're going to need more batteries because the semi takes 6-7 cars worth of batteries. The robot takes a fraction of a car of batteries, but we plan to make far more of them. We're going to need batteries.
Yeah, I could easily see us more than doubling the amount of battery consumption just in vehicles between now and the middle of 2027, in the middle of 2028. And then when you factor in the energy side of the business too, now you're talking about just ridiculous explosive growth in battery consumption for Tesla. And so they definitely have to have, it's like Brian said, that you need an insurance policy here to where people don't have excessive leverage over you. And if someone's like, hey, we're going to charge you this much, we're going to stop doing long-term contracts with you, and we're just going to start charging you spot prices, and there's nothing you can do about it. And Tesla will be like, okay, for the incremental capacity that they're trying to bring online, Tesla will be like, well, you know what? Instead of that, I guess I'll just, go over here and spend the money on building more of my own Tesla lithium refineries, and I'll work on putting you out of business.
Yeah. Well, look, Ma, no hands. I think David Moss has now crossed 12,000 miles, completely, with completely on FSD since V14.2. And again, this is becoming more of a common theme. I'm only at 90, I think 2%. It's partially just because I had, off-roading and a flat tire that I had to drive on. But, this is becoming more of a common theme for more Tesla owners. And I do think like there needs to come, it's just, I feel like we're in that next phase, not only as like Tesla owner enthusiasts, but, Tesla's a company, as we've seen, sales kind of slow down. And again, this may not necessarily be the future, but what I'm saying is as long as they're selling cars, I feel like there's this there's still this huge awareness of general awareness of that these cars drive. And I consume a decent amount of social media, and I can't tell you, even on TikTok and Instagram, just like for people, it's like, a lot of these, and a lot of it is younger people who are seeing this, and I'm seeing that it's like a flex to like be watching a car drive itself, right? But I still feel like we're just in that phase where a lot of the general public, whether it's in small town Oklahoma to, Miami, Florida, people just still do not realize that these cars drive, or maybe they've heard of it and they haven't, sat in a car. But it's just, I feel like we're in that like 2018 phase of like, this is company's not a fraud. Just get in and drive it, right? It's a great experience.
Last week, when I wasn't here, I had an opportunity to attend a press conference with the CEO of Xiaopeng, and I was allowed to ask a question. And my question was, so David Moss just drove cross country and back 11,000 miles at the time. What are you guys going to do about that? And his response is, I've seen that video. I'm like, wow. So people are paying attention, just maybe not in the US.
And is this not the most hilarious confirmation of the Musk razor, that the most entertaining outcome is the most likely? That a friggin' LiDAR salesman is the first person to drive cross country, from the West Coast to the East Coast on FSD with zero interventions, and getting this coverage. And I think it's just, ironic, hilarious, and amazing all at the same time.
Yep.
He's now taking requests for difficult places. Dirty Tesla suggested a particular charger that he just cannot get his car to go to. And David said, great, I'll be there in a few days. Hope to have dinner with you.
Yeah, he's in snow, and he kept thinking that he's going to have disengagements, and he's like almost approaching 13,000 miles, and he hasn't had any disengagements yet. Well, 12,500. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. It is pretty crazy that it is a LiDAR person who's literally just, I mean, it's like, how much is he going to be able to help out his colleagues now at this point? But yeah. All right. So jumping into, Joe, I'll pass this one to you.
Yeah, there's a Tesla premium. Why this account, Silicon Valley, I mean, irrelevant. But so breaking, Tesla Model Y Premium now has up to 7 seats in the US. So you can fit a 6'7" adult in the, okay, no, you can't. These are for children, but it's a 7-seat for the Model Y. Brian.
Well, I have the 2023 third row Model Y. I assume the third row of this Model Y is the same size as that one, which is to say too small. I am able to jam a child back there. When we got the car, I had 2 kids that would fit back there. Now it's only 1. And it is not a car I hope to buy again. A YL would fit us better. An X would fit us better. And I've seen people say if the YL comes out, the X is doomed. And I'd say, I think S and X are doomed anyway. I've long been asked, how much longer will they make them? And my answer has always been, as long as you can have 1 full shift running, why not? It's not like there's something else you could use that space for. But now I think we might be under 1 shift of production for S and X, which would not be good. And I bet they want that space for the robot manufacturing, for Optimus. So I think, I don't know. Will they continue it? Will they? I just don't know. But we need the YL. The third row is just too tight for even my smallest.
Oh, sorry. I thought Hans was going to say something. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for saying something. What I was going to say too is, yeah, the YL, or sorry, the 7-seater here. I think it's okay for, like, for me, I have a couple of kids that who 4 and 7, who I could probably put in a car seat, and they could still fit back there. But in 2 to 3 years, like once they hit 10 and older, it's going to start getting really tight. And you can still squeeze them there for a little bit, but really the YL would make the most sense, and that would be something I would consider, maybe even getting rid of my Model X for I think it's still the space that you get in the X, especially if you do some road trips. Once you get in the YL, it probably doesn't have as much space as the X. But as far as like a commuter goes, like the YL would make the most sense. But yeah, I think like I said, I'm glad it's here. There's definitely gonna people. It's nice if you had to fit people in. Like for me, if I was to buy one, I would just, yeah, sure, it's only an extra $2,500, get the premium all-wheel drive, and now you have the ability to throw in a couple extra kids in the back if you had to. So it's nice that can happen, but I would love personally to see the YL to come. But glad to see they finally came out with it. It's another lever potentially for this quarter and people who've been waiting for it.
YL Schmyl. We need the YXL. It needs to be way bigger.
Yeah, we need we need something as big as the Robovin, but without being a Robovin. I'm waiting for that family vehicle that Elon's been talking about, but who knows if that will ever happen.
I think honestly, Tesla's moving way too fast with autonomy for any of that to happen.
Yeah, I would.
Heck, even Elon said in that interview with Peter last week that the freaking Roadster is going to be the last vehicle they sell that people can drive. It's like they say this is it. So that's something.
Yep.
I actually saw a funny meme the other day when someone was making that point that, hey, we need a big Tesla family vehicle, and someone just posted a picture of the Tesla Semi.
That is true. You can even throw probably an RV on the back in a tent.
And that's definitely what Elon needs for all his kids.
Yeah, for real.
Exactly. All right, so it's kind of crazy. I can't believe it's been a year. But play special games, win special prizes, and our friend out of Mesa, Arizona, Ian Moses, put a Tesla on fire. It looks like a Cybertruck, and he was sentenced 5 years. So that is 5 years. I don't know if the guy has a family, but literally 5 years that he's going to serve for, burning down a Tesla. And it sounds like there was this other situation too. And actually, I guess this was in the Bay Area too. This was in like the Willow Glen area, Plaza, where crazy driver goes on anti-Tesla rampage by hitting multiple Tesla cars parked at the supercharger with his own car. So again, play special games, you'll win special prizes. But glad to see justice served, especially, this stuff was happening and heating up, really in February and March, and at its peak probably end of March. So pretty crazy, or mid-March. All right, Joe, this one's to you, man.
Yeah, new larger Tesla supercharger. So this is actually pretty cool because the Fireball location, for those of you who don't know, it was one of the biggest superchargers here in California in the Central Valley in my area. But now we're looking at expanding it to 232 stalls, with 16 of those being for semis. Like, that's insane. That's double what the Oasis is. That's just wild. People need to know that Elon loves my area more than other areas.
Yeah, and also too, I think it's a sign that the semi's coming too, right? Because I think this is going to be the first accessible public charger too, with Tesla Semi stalls as well. So, and as we know, going from LA to San Francisco, and really, probably more importantly, then it's pretty much like LA to Bakersfield, and then really up to, what is it, Manteca, Lathrop, and kind of where those huge distribution centers are, where they then go into smaller, like Pepsi and Frito-Lay and all those companies. They going through Central California. So this could be like a major stop. And again, we'll start seeing more of these as they expand. But seeing semis, man, at the Fireball, I mean, that's going to be, 304 stalls. It's already 68 or something like crazy right now. But
it's going to be the Buc-ee's of Tesla superchargers.
I know.
Not everybody knows what a Buc-ee's is.
We may have to go take.
It's only because they're sheltered and have poor life experiences.
It's exactly what it is. or they don't live in Texas.
Exactly. All right. Speaking of chip fabs, Taiwanese officials heading to Washington to advance trade pact. This follows a deal that is close that could cut tariffs to 15% and commit TSMC to building at least 5 more fabs in Arizona. But yeah, I know it's kind of like a lithium refinery, right? Elon has said just the biggest issue with where they'll scale is going to have the demand for chips. And so at some point I see that happening.
Even though this is a possibility, I think that Tesla would still make a fab because they could streamline a chip that doesn't need to be multifaceted. It's just geared towards what they need. So I think Elon's still gonna build a fab. Hate
Oh,
to
yeah.
say that.
If you're TSMC and you need to build 5 to keep political favor, wouldn't it make sense to partner with someone like Tesla who would take on a big
Yeah.
chunk of the financial responsibility without having to actually make the factory themselves, which is, of course, something that's very, very, very difficult. I think it could be a brilliant partnership like we saw with Panasonic in Nevada for the 2170 cells.
Oh yeah.
And TSMC would know we have a guaranteed customer. This is the kind of customer who, when they place an order, they actually pull the trigger every time, virtually every time. I can only think of one example where an order was canceled after a early commitment came through. And this is unlike every other manufacturer in the US who's always changing their advanced plans, always leaving these international companies who come to set up battery factories or whatever it may be high and dry. I think this would be a great partnership for both parties.
Yeah, and it would also, really clarify and solve the biggest hurdle that Elon is going to face at this point in time. Like, unless we see some magical development, ASML lithography machines are still the bottleneck on advanced chip manufacturing. And just because you build a fab doesn't mean you can fill it with lithography machines that can make chips out of nowhere. Like, ASML only has so much capacity and almost all of it goes to TSMC these days. And so working with TSMC to acquire the ASML machines that are necessary for those fabs definitely is a smart move. TSMC is by far, the best contract manufacturer of chips in the world. And so I 100% agree with Brian.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
All right, so we're just gonna quickly end with the Tesla beat because
do that really fast.
No, we got to end right now, but because it's Joe's birthday, he can go first. All right, Joe, sorry that FSD is actually that good.
Yeah, no, this is pretty crazy. I left that title up there, but this was Elon talking about how much he paid in taxes, and it broke the IRS computer actually because he had too many digits. This is like who paid the most income tax, so that was pretty wild.
This should be more like a sorry that that
I owe so much.
Yeah, exactly. He's still waiting for his trophy if the IRS is listening right now. All right, Hans, to you. Starlink, get more for less.
They just continue to increase functionality and value that you're getting. I mean, 100 gigabyte now instead of 50 for $50 a month is incredible value. Yeah, like I remember thinking back when Elon used to say, hey, like all these normal network carriers, they don't need to be worried about Starlink. Like, we're just supplemental. Like, we're just here to serve the people that they can't serve, and they'll still be, just fine. Just fine.
And what the analysts were saying is, don't worry about Starlink. Yeah, they're doing $100 a month now, but it's only going to go up as their monopoly increases. And this is the opposite.
Yeah. As they get more satellites up. And for me, actually, to be honest, the 50 gigs was actually kind of a limiting, and it was partially because like I went camping one night, and of course I took a bunch of photos, and it automatically goes to the cloud. So I maxed, and I actually went over, I think, to like 150 gigs or whatever, because it was with the family, and so I had to upgrade immediately to the unlimited package. Otherwise, I would have had, after 50 gigs, it was $1 per gig.
Jeez.
So this is huge value for $50, especially for the mini. And I think actually, if you buy one, the mini portable comes with it now, or it's something like that. But
Oh, cool.
I think it's a different plan that you can get the home unlimited, and it comes with a mini that you can take with you and has service as well. And so you get both the home hardware and the mini hardware, and you can use both.
Wow.
Exactly. All right, Brian, the not necessarily best for last, but R2 is coming. EVs for all.
I'm excited. I think Rivian has enough money to get this into production. The market demand appears very strong. They've got the NACS charger and in the correct spot, as I recall. This is checking a lot of boxes. If their cost controls are reasonable, they're going to make a ton of money on this. I assume they're going to start with a high price launch edition that definitely has some margin, if not good margin. And then hopefully this will allow Rivian to turn a corner financially, though I am concerned that they're going to be wasting $2,500 on hardware for everyone to do self-driving that may never come.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Go for it.
The cost, to Brian's point, is going to be the key on win or lose here. If they can't make gross margin dollars on these things, this accelerates the demise of Rivian. If they can, it saves them by the skin of their teeth and actually secures them an incredible spot as potentially the second best US EV company behind Tesla, and the first one besides Tesla to have the potential to turn gross profits or net profits.
Yeah,
exactly.
All right. Well, so first off, huge shout out to Royalty here, birthday Royalty, Joe. We hope you have a blessed day. Don't sell all that gold in one spot, on your neck. But thank you again for all you do for our org and for this community. So hopefully you have a great celebration, maybe lower key with your family, and then tomorrow with the community. If you're in the Sacramento area, come to EV's Republic. But with that said, make sure you patronize our other wonderful hosts like Hans and Brian. They have amazing channels, always putting up content, and you will definitely not walk away. You'll learn something new every single time with a different lens. So go give them a follow, check out their channels, and we will catch you guys all next Friday. And hopefully everyone has a nice and safe holiday weekend, Martin Luther King MLK Day. If you celebrate here in the US, and a lot of people will have that day off. So have a great weekend, everyone, and we will catch you guys all next Friday.